and you could wear them outside of your employment, then you can't claim any work-related deductions for those. So there's a lot of information about this in detail on our website, and there's some information sheets for different occupations. And I'll send that information to Kate to share with you after the meeting. Does that answer your question, Lara? Thanks, Lara. Okay, if everyone can just put themselves back on mute, and we'll keep going. So the tax file number, or TFN for short, is a unique number that's issued by the Australian Taxation Office to identify you for tax purposes. So it's a bit like a bank account number for your taxes. We use your tax file number to record how much pay you've earned and how much tax your employer has withheld from your pay. And this is to ensure that you pay the correct amount of tax. So your tax file number is a critical part of your personal identification details. So it's extremely important that we protect our tax file number and keep it safe. So never share your tax file number with anybody. Never keep it where it could easily be lost or stolen. So for example, don't keep it in your wallet or your purse or your mobile phone. Never share it with friends or family. Never give it out on the internet or put it on social media. And never supply it to any organisations unless they're entitled to ask for it. If you think somebody has access to your tax file number who shouldn't have access, then please contact the tax office as soon as possible for assistance, and I'll give you contact numbers at the end. So there are some organisations who are allowed to ask for a tax file number and have legitimate reason to do this. So for example, Centrelink, if you're applying for any government benefits, for example, job seeker payment, then they will need your tax file number to process your application. Employers need our tax file number so that they can withhold tax and give that to the tax office, but only give your tax file number to your employer once they've given you the job. Never include your tax file number in a job application form or your resume. Banks need our tax file number, and this is so they don't have to charge extra tax from any interest we earn. Universities will ask for your tax file number if you want to apply for a loan for your student fees. Superannuation funds will ask for your tax file number. This is so that they can record the contributions that your employer makes on your behalf. And if you're using a tax agent or an accountant to help you with your taxes, then they will obviously need your tax file number. And please ensure that they are registered by looking for these logos that you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. And finally, if you contact the tax office for help, we'll ask for your tax file number to help us identify you to make sure we are talking to the correct person. So sometimes our employer may pay us our wages in cash instead of directly into our bank account. And this is okay as long as they're giving us pay slips that detail the total amount of pay that we've received and the total amount of tax that they've taken out of our pay. But unfortunately, some businesses deliberately pay cash to avoid paying tax and to avoid their responsibilities to their workers. And this is called the cash economy, or it's also called the black economy. And they're not only cheating you, but they're cheating the whole community because they're not paying their fair share for services that everybody uses. If they're paying you cash, you could be missing out on the correct legal award pay. You could be missing out on superannuation contributions that your employer should be paying for you. And you may be missing out on workers' compensation insurance that they should be paying in case you're injured at work. Worst of all, you could end up with a tax bill at the end of the year because they haven't withheld tax from this pay they've given you in cash that you still need to declare as income on your tax return. If you're unsure whether they are doing the right thing, check your income statement in MyGov. And if you need help, please contact the tax office. There's more information on our website, but also you can call us, and I'll give you the contact number for the call centre at the end of the session today. Another thing that the employers do sometimes is that they ask their employees to get an ABN instead of a tax file number. But if you're employed by a business that's not your own, and you work under the direction of a manager, then you're an employee and you don't need an ABN. Sometimes businesses try and classify their workers as contractors and ask for an ABN. Sometimes they may not understand the difference between an employee and a contractor, but unfortunately sometimes they're trying to avoid their responsibilities. If an employer treats you as a contractor instead of an employee, you could be missing out on the award pay, work cover, superannuation, sick leave, and holiday pay. If you're unsure if you're working as an employee or a contractor, talk to your employer to make sure you understand the terms of your employment. But again, if you need help, please contact the tax office. If you are doing any food delivery for Uber or a delivery service, like ride sourcing, then if you're delivering just food, then you do need an ABN. But if you're driving people for Uber or Didi or one of those sort of companies, then you will also need to be registered for GST, even if your turnover is only $1. And that's regardless of your income. Again, if you need help, please contact the tax office for more information. So again, I might just pause here and see how everyone's going and see if anyone would like to ask any questions.
Can I ask, Robin, because I've had a few people talk about ABNs, they say their employers ask them to get an ABN. If you're unsure, and you'll share the contact details of the tax office, but is it just a matter of calling, or is there, is it better to look on the website, or how would you sort of start to navigate whether you need an ABN or whether the employer perhaps shouldn't have asked you for one?
So you can see there's a URL on our website. So if you go to ato.gov.au/working, that will take you to a web page with more information about this, where it goes into more detail about how to tell whether you are an employee or a contractor. But really, as I was saying before, if you are just working under direction of a manager or a boss and you don't own the company and you work regular hours, then in all likelihood you should just be an employee. There are obviously circumstances where you will be a contractor, but your employer should really explain that to you, because if you're a contractor, then you're responsible for paying your own tax, and you're responsible for paying your own superannuation contributions and potentially your own workers' compensation contributions and so on. So it is very important that you understand how you're being employed and that both you and your employer are clear about that. But yes, there is further information on our website, and I'll send you that link to share afterwards as well. But again, if you are unsure, then please, you can always call us as well for help.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no further questions at this stage, I might move on. If you do need help because you don't think your employer is doing the right thing or they're not paying you the award wage, you can also go to the Fair Work Ombudsman for assistance. Their phone number's at the bottom of the screen. And they have online tools that you can use to find out whether you're getting the correct pay or the correct leave entitlements, and so on. Just a quick question there from Zavin. I want to do a small business on my own. What should I do in the beginning? Zavin, I'll send some information about that to Kate and to Sarah to share with you afterwards. It really depends on the nature of your business and what you need to be registered for and so on. So I'll just make a note of that before I forget. Thanks, Zavin. Okay, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about superannuation. And superannuation, or super for short, is money that's set aside over your lifetime to provide for your retirement. So it's a bit like a pension. It's money to live on when you stop working. And if you work and earn over a certain amount, your employer may have to pay superannuation contributions for you. So if you're an employee, you're generally entitled to compulsory superannuation contributions from your employer if you're over 18 years old and get paid $450 or more before tax in a month. Your employer has to pay 9.5% of your salary into a superannuation fund on your behalf. And this money doesn't come out of our pay. This is extra money that your employer pays separately. And it doesn't matter whether you're full-time, part-time, casual, or if you're a temporary resident of Australia, then they have to pay these amounts once you meet that $450 threshold. So, as you may know already, we're coming up to the end of the financial year, and it's coming up to the time when we need to lodge our tax returns. So generally, if you've had any tax taken out of your income that you've received during the financial year, you will need to lodge a tax return. And the tax return is the document that we use to tell the tax office how much money we've earned and any work-related deductions that we're claiming or any offsets that we have for the financial year. In Australia, the financial year runs from the 1st of July through to the 30th of June. And unless you're using a tax agent, we generally have until the 31st of October to lodge our tax returns. So there are different ways we can lodge our tax return. You can go online and log in through MyGov to the ATO's online services and use MyTax. And this is our free online lodgement system. It's available 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can also get help from a registered tax agent. And again, you can see their logo in the bottom left of the screen. And they should display these logos to demonstrate that they are registered and a legitimate tax agent. But you could also get help through the Tax Help program. And this is a program run by the tax office where we train a network of accredited volunteers. And these volunteers help people to lodge their tax returns for free. Basically, it's for people that are on income roughly below $60,000 a year. You have straightforward tax returns. And normally we set up in public places, for example, libraries and community centres, and we do this face-to-face. This year, because of the current situation, we're going online and we'll be using screen sharing technology. Hi, does someone have a question? If you're not asking a question, I'll just ask everyone to please stay on mute. Thank you. So as I was saying, if you want to use the Tax Help program, well, this year we're looking at doing it online using screen sharing software until the social distancing rules are relaxed, and then we will transition, hopefully, to face-to-face again. And there's more information on our website at ato.gov.au/tax help. And I will send those details out to Kate to share as well. I'll make a note of that now. Are there any questions before I go on, please?
If I'm not employed and if I'm not employed and I don't have the PR yet, but I have a partner provisional visa, can I get a
Sorry about that.
tax
That's a
file
question
number
I'll have
or
to look
no?
up for you.
Oh.
Could you, do you mind putting that in the chat window for me? And I'll look that up afterwards and
Yeah,
send this
right.
information to
Of
Kate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lara. Okay, so now we're going to talk about scams. So scams are tricks that criminals play on innocent people like you and me to try and steal our money, our personal identity details, or both. In Australia, we call these criminals scammers. And we regularly hear about scams in the news and on social media, and they only need some basic details like our name, our date of birth, our address, or potentially our tax file number to commit identity crime. If criminals steal our identity details, it can take a long time to fix, and it can make it very difficult to apply for government benefits, to potentially get a job, to apply for a bank loan, or apply for any government benefits. Scammers use our personal identity details to access our bank accounts and use our credit cards. So they can log in to MyGov and steal our superannuation. They can apply for government benefits in our name. They can potentially create fake businesses and commit refund fraud. They can even sell our identity details to organised crime groups. So more and more scammers are now pretending that they're from the tax office. And they can contact us by email, by phone, by text message, or even social media. And they look very convincing. So it's very important that we know how to tell the difference between somebody who's really from the tax office or somebody who's a scammer who's pretending. There are some simple things we can look out for to protect ourselves. So I'll talk about those now in detail. So the first sign that to look out for is abusive or threatening behaviour. If somebody contacts you from the tax office by telephone, they will never act in an abusive or threatening manner. They will never be rude to you or threaten you with immediate arrest. Our staff will always talk to you in a polite and respectful manner. And if anybody calls you saying they're from the tax office and says they're threatening you with arrest, please just hang up the phone immediately. Don't stay on the phone. The next sign that we can look out for is if somebody calls you and they say they're from the tax office and they're demanding immediate payment. We will never ask you for immediate payment and demand that you transfer the money into an account that is not held with the Reserve Bank of Australia. We'll never ask you to pay us using unusual methods, for example, iTunes cards or Myer gift cards or any other store cards. We'll never ask you to pay to receive your tax refund, and we'll never stay on the phone with you while you go and get money out of the bank, or we'll never stay on the phone with you while you go and make a payment. If you do owe us money, we'll tell you that, and you'll be able to check that through your MyGov account to make sure that you know it's real. We offer legitimate methods for you to pay us, including BPay or the government EasyPay service. So again, if anybody contacts you pretending they're from the tax office and they're demanding you pay straight away and threatening you with arrest, please hang up the phone. The other thing you can do is, if you're not sure, is you can always ask for their contact details and ask to call them back. So if you get a call from me, Robin, and I say, "Hi, it's Robin from the tax office. I need to talk to you today about your taxes." And if you don't believe that I'm from the tax office, please ask me for my contact details. If I'm real, I'll be happy to give those to you. Then you can hang up and you can call back through our call center. And that way you know you're talking to somebody who is really from the tax office. We will never be cross with you if you do this. Whereas if it's a person pretending they're from the tax office, they'll get angry. So that's a way to tell if somebody's really from the tax office or not. But if in doubt, you can always hang up. And if it is from real person from the tax office, and if you say, "Look, I hung up because I didn't know if it was real," we won't be cross with you. The third way to tell a scam is that if somebody asks you for personal details using social media or email or text, we don't use those contact methods to ask for your personal details. We will only use these ways to give you general messages. So for example, you might get a text message saying, "Please look at this thing in your MyGov account." So you have to log in and put in your password. Or we may say, "Please contact us," or we may just give you a general message saying, "Hi, it's tax time, it's time to lodge." And that's a message that everybody gets. But we don't use text messages or social media to ask you to send us your TFN or your credit card details or your bank details. You should never supply these details to anybody who pretends to be from the tax office using text or social media. We've heard of cases where people have had WhatsApp messages from the tax office, and the tax office isn't even on WhatsApp. So if you get anything on WhatsApp, you know it's a scam. Please delete it and ignore it. Finally, we'll never ask you to download software or send you links to click on to install software. So if anybody sends you an email or a text message saying, "Please click this link to get your tax refund," it's a scam, and please delete it, and please do not click on the link. Finally, we hear a lot of scams where there are offers to access our superannuation money before we're eligible. Unfortunately, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Offers to unlock our superannuation early, or it offers to invest where we have to act very quickly before the offer ends, are often signs of scams. So please beware. If you're in any doubt at all, please contact the tax office for help, and we can tell you if something's real or not. And that way you know you're talking to somebody who is really from the tax office. We've heard about scams pretending to be from the tax office that are related to COVID-19 as well. So please look out for these.
Robin, we've just got a question in the chat from Mohammed.
Hi. If my friend uses my tax file number, so you shouldn't be sharing your tax file number. You can't share your tax file number with your friends. They need their own tax file number. If they've used your tax file number, then please contact the tax office for help. So here, thanks for the question. I hope I've answered that for you. Thanks, Mohammed. So if you need help, please call us on 132861. If you'd like questions about your superannuation, you can call us on 131020. If you would like help in your own first language, you can use the translating and interpreting service, and their phone number is 131450. And you can see there's the link to our website, and there is information in other languages there as well at ato.gov.au/other languages. That brings us to the end of the session today. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending. Would anybody like to ask any more questions? So at the moment, I've got no more questions. You're welcome. If you think of any questions afterwards, you're welcome to give those to Kate, and she can send them to me. And if I can answer them, I will. Otherwise, I can send out details of where to go for further help. I will send Kate the information about starting a small business that one of you asked for. That was from Zavin. I'll also send out the information, more information about whether you need an ABN or not. And I'll send you out more information about the tax help program if anybody would like that help this year. But otherwise, thank you everybody for attending. I hope you found it of some benefit today.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Definitely, if you do have questions, definitely, make sure that you take note of the numbers. The numbers are also there on the ATO website. Just to also remind you that we will be having another session next Monday for Your Rights at Work. We are still taking registrations, so definitely send your details to Kate or myself, and we will send you the link next week. Otherwise, have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Before everyone goes, I'm just wondering if people are happy to be in a quick screenshot photo just to show, that we've had a great group turnout today. So if you don't want to be in it, you can just leave or you can turn off your video. But if you're happy, I'll just take one now. Robin, are you happy to finish sharing your screen and we'll just get everyone up in the tiles?
Let's go for it. That's fine. Thank you.
I can still see your presentation.
Do you want me to leave that on or turn that off?
If you're able to take it off, because then I'll be able to get everyone's faces in the group view. I took one with your presentation as well. Okay. I just have to figure out how to unshare it. Oh, let me see if I can help you. Is it up the top? Is there a green? I don't see it, but if you can, maybe you can do that for me. Maybe I can. I'm scared of. I'll try sharing, see if I can do stop sharing. Oh, yes, it's still. How are you stopping your sharing? If you put your cursor up to the very top of the screen, it has a drop-down menu and there's an orange button that says stop sharing. Do you know what the drop? Oh, I've got it. Yes, I do. So I can't. Is it the one that's on the top of the PowerPoint? It's the very top of the screen for me. Is there a menu? Is there a title on the menu? I'd have to go back into it. It's just the one that has everything on it, like pause, assign, mute. I think I don't have that because I'm not the host. Oh, okay. That's right. We can try with what we've got. If you're happy to be in the photo, then just pop your video on for a second. If not, you can leave it off. So I'll just give people a second. Okay. All right. Everyone's gone. No one wants to be in the photo. That's all right. I can see everyone there anyway. All right. Let me know when you're ready and I'll. Okay, I've taken a photo. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining. And as Sarah said, we've got one more session next week, and it actually starts at 1:30 from memory. Is that right, Sarah? 1:30, which is different to the other weeks. So, but I'll send a reminder. I'll send a text. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. Thanks very much, Robin. That was really
Thanks, Robin.
My
informative.
pleasure.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll get some more questions coming through. There's been a couple in the chat.
Brilliant. I've got the one about the one from Lara as well about can I get a tax file number if I am unemployed and is it? Does she mean? Can you see that one?
And she has not yet got PR. She's got a
Yeah.
provisional visa. Yeah.
Okay, I'll find that out. If she, do you know whether she's eligible for any Centrelink benefits at the moment?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we can find
All right.
out.
Yeah, I'll have to find out about that one.
All right. Well, I'll send through the information that everyone's requested.
Brilliant.
And yeah, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.